Today we're looking at a major shift in US trade policy, one that reaches straight into the cost of medicine, the trucking industry, and even the furniture you buy for your home. Starting October 1st, 2025, President Trump plans to impose a 100% tariff on branded or patented pharmaceutical products unless the companies selling them are actively building manufacturing plants in America. It's a bold move that could reshape the way medicines are made and sold in this country. Supporters say the message is clear. If you want to sell here, invest here. The goal is to bring more pharmaceutical manufacturing back to US soil and reduce reliance on overseas supply chains. In an era where Americans saw how fragile global supply lines can be during the pandemic, that argument resonates with a lot of people. Trump announced the policy on his social media platform, saying the tariff will hit only those companies that are not building facilities in the United States. That distinction matters. He isn't targeting every drug maker, only those who avoid putting real bricks and mortar in American communities. Many of the biggest names in pharmaceuticals, Eli Lilly, AstraZeneca, Roche, GSK, have already pledged billions of dollars towards new US facilities and research hubs. Collectively, drug makers have committed hundreds of billions by the end of the decade. In that sense, the administration is reinforcing a trend that's already underway. Still, questions remain. What exactly qualifies as building? Is it enough to break ground, or does a company need to have a full operations running? And what about smaller biotech firms or new innovators who don't yet have the capital for large plants? For them, meeting the requirement may not be easy. Trade groups for the pharmaceutical industry argue that tariffs on medicines could divert money from research and development. They've long pointed out that most innovative drugs prescribed in America are already produced domestically, and they warn that any extra costs could slow the creation of future treatments. That's a concern worth considering. Financial markets didn't panic though. Major US and European drug companies held steady or even ticked up slightly, signaling that the largest players are already well positioned. But smaller overseas firms, especially those that rely on exporting patented drugs to the US, could face serious pressure. For patients and pharmacists, the effect will depend on how companies respond. If drug makers pass on the cost of tariffs instead of absorbing them, certain medications could become more expensive. On the other hand, if the policy succeeds in spurring more domestic production, it could mean more stable supplies and less vulnerability to global disruptions in the long run. This policy does not stop with medicine. The same day, Trump announced a 25% tariff on heavy trucks, a 50% tariff on kitchen cabinets and bathroom vanities, and a 30% tariff on upholstered furniture. His stated goal? To protect American manufacturers from what he calls a flood of cheap imports. In the trucking industry, that means big changes for companies that assemble heavy-duty trucks in Mexico. Some analysts predict upward price pressure, especially for imported trucks. Furniture retailers and importers could also see costs climb. Supporters argue these steps are necessary to give American factories a fair shot at competing and to strengthen industries critical to national security and jobs. Critics, meanwhile, worry about higher consumer prices and possible trade disputes. But it's worth noting that these tariffs fit into a broader strategy Trump has pursued before, using trade policy as leverage to bring investment and jobs back home. For many voters, especially in manufacturing states, that promise carries weight. There's also a legal angle. The Supreme Court will hear arguments in November on the administration's broader tariff powers. If the court limits those powers, some of these policies could be challenged. For now, though, they remain on track to take effect October 1st. The bigger question is whether this approach will work as intended. If companies continue to expand US facilities, creating jobs, strengthening supply chains, and ensuring vital products like medicines are made domestically, supporters will see this as proof that strong trade policy can protect both health and industry. If costs rise sharply or supply chains falter, critics will argue that tariffs backfired. For now, the move underscores a familiar Trump strategy using the weight of the US market to encourage investment at home. Whether you agree or disagree, it's a clear signal that America intends to be less dependent on foreign production in critical sectors. So keep an eye on your prescription costs, watch how truck and furniture prices shift, and follow the Supreme Court's upcoming decision. The outcome will shape not only how much we pay for medicine and goods, but also how much of what we rely on is truly made in America. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss an update. Your support lets me keep bringing you more content just like this. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.